I'm Nick Shell, and if you're watching this video, which you are obviously, it implies that you happen to catch my Jeep Wrangler theme song. And if you haven't, there's a link in the description so you can check it out. A 3-minute song specifically about the culture of owning and driving a Jeep Wrangler. So let's check out the words to this song, actually penned on December 1st, 2019. So I've been hanging on to this for a couple of months. Now the time was right. In fact, today our family went on a Jeep ride in the midst of coronavirus 2020. So I was like, well, we've all been exposed to each other, but we drove around for like 5 hours today. We just went an hour south and went on to some wildlife management property. Usually all across the United States, if you look for that, you can, especially right now, it's not hunting season. You can just drive down these dirt roads and look for trouble basically. And if you need to put in 4-wheel drive, that's what one of the things Jeeps are good for. Let's check out these lyrics to this song that I basically took it upon myself to write a theme song for Jeep Wranglers. So here's the first verse. It's a Jeep thing you wouldn't understand. Off-road and rowdy. Or actually I say being rough and rowdy. It's funny because when I can write a song a couple months ago and then when I start practicing it comes out differently. So I guess I realized I changed the words to that. Being rough and rowdy, but it should have said it. Off-road and rowdy. It's funny because in theory, I guess I used the wrong lyrics in my own song. Being rough and rowdy, it's a part of who I am. There's a Jeep wave if you're part of the club, but you got to drive a Wrangler to get some of that love. I mean, there's other vehicles, there's other SUVs that Jeep Chrysler makes, but it's only the Jeep Wrangler that you are justified in giving the Jeep wave when you see another Jeep. If someone were to wave at you, and because you're driving your Jeep, but say they've got a Patriot or a Liberty, whatever else it is, you don't wave back to them. So it's only Jeep Wranglers that wave to each other, and it's something I'm very faithful to. I mean, granted, I don't catch them all because there's so many Jeeps, especially here in Tennessee, but it's a very big one. And it's, for me, the Jeep wave is saying, hey, I'm part of the same club as you. I could be living a more practical life if I didn't drive this thing, but I'd rather have more fun than being practical, at least in this part of my life. So to the chorus, so if you've got it in your blood, roll those tires in the mud, pop it into 4-wheel drive, it's time to climb. So if you've got it in your blood, roll those tires in the mud. Moving on to the second verse, and I can see now as I recorded it, I said one of the things wrong in it too, but it's all right, no one will know, because unless they're watching this video. The second verse, I've got my JK, which by the way, this is a 2010, so it's a JK model, that's what I'm referring to. I've got a JK popping out of first gear. When I sang it, I said popping out of gears, which, to be fair, some people have theirs popping out of first gear, others have it popping out of fourth. But specifically, if it pops out of first gear, it's usually because you don't have it past the 1 RPMs before you switch in a second. So if you try to shift before it hits 1 RPM or past that, it's going to pop out, or you need to expect it to. Or another thing is if you keep it in first too long and you're not accelerating your speed and you're just kind of barely going through a parking lot or something, or if you try to do a rolling stop, it's probably going to pop out. So as far as fourth gear, I don't know, because mine doesn't do that. It's only done first. So it's a thing with Jeep Wranglers. If it's a 6-speed like mine is, and it's a JK, they're known for popping out of gears. Everyone knows that's a thing that happens, but you know, they've never been recalled, so it's just a matter of, for me, I got an aftermarket shifter at B&M, which is like a $500 shifter, and it definitely helps, but also I've definitely learned to manage around it. I've had mine for we're right at about a year is when I started the process of getting mine. So I've learned to work around it. I guess everyone else who has a 6-speed JK is in the same situation as me. But you overlook it because you'd rather have more fun than have anything else. And for the fact that it was a 6-speed was part of the reason I was able to snatch it up as soon as it was for sale, because not everybody can drive a 6-speed, which I learned to drive a 5-speed from my dad's Ford Ranger growing up. And you know, 6-speed, actually, I prefer it. I like it better. It's like, because it helps the gas mileage if nothing else. So I got my JK popping out of first gear if I don't accelerate my speed past 1 RPMs. It's not practical, but that's not what I'm going for. I may not get the best on gas, but I can see the world. And I mean, that really is how I feel. I mean, you can see so much more of the world when you can go off-roading. And not only that, but knowing that you're probably going to be able to get out of the situation that you get yourself into. And then it has this kind of bridge that I threw together. Drive into the face of danger in a Wrangler, live free or die. And then I even have this part that says 0 to 60 in 20 minutes down a hill. And the joke there is Jeeps are geared lower so that they can be able to get out of the mud and to go up hills and go down hills without there being any issues. But what they're not good at, because of that, is going fast. So for me to get 70 miles an hour on the interstate, I have to be going for a while to even hit that. So on a similar note, yeah, if you want to go 60 miles an hour, you have to earn your way to get up to that point. And so especially when you're, pulling out, you have to hope that person's going as slow as you think they are, otherwise you're gonna cut them off, especially when you're shifting into second gear, and if you don't do it right, it's gonna pop out. So again, it's part of the culture, it's part of the wave there. So there you go, that's my tribute to all Jeep Wrangler owners, especially if you own a JK. And it's funny, I'll close by telling you this story. Again, this is happening during the midst of coronavirus 2020. And so today, it's a Saturday. So for my family, we're like, okay, well, it's kind of almost rainy outside. It's 50 degrees. It's not really fun to take the kids outside and do anything. So I looked up on a map. I typed in wildlife management area and put it in conjunction to the town I live in. There were a couple that popped up. I chose one that was about an hour away. And that's where we went. And it's funny because we went in there and it's like, I guess where you're supposed to go in this little lodge and sign in. And it's for, especially if you're going to be hunting or fishing, which right now it's not hunting season, but it is fishing season. I just signed in and I said to the guy, I said, hey, can you give me any advice on navigating? He's like, man, there's only 15,000 acres. Don't get lost. That's basically what he said. So I was going out back to the Jeep and I saw another Jeep. It was has a lot more, lift kit, bigger tires. It was all fixed up there. And I just walked up to the guy because he was kind of cruising the park. I just went up to him and I said, hey, Jeep wave, and I pointed over to my Jeep. And I never heard of this guy. He didn't know me, I didn't know him, but I was able to have a whole conversation with him and said, hey, I've never been here before. Where's a good place to take the family out and let's just go down some dirt roads without getting stuck? And he said, well, you can follow me. So I ended up following him down these dirt roads. We drove through a creek. We went actually on top of a dam. It was really cool. We drove on top of a dam. So yeah, it was like totally cool. And then he's like, hey, why don't you follow me back to my house? I'll show you my other Jeep. So we went to this guy's house and saw his Jeep. And like, we never heard of this guy. But like, to me, that story exemplifies what it's like to be part of the club as far as owning a Jeep Wrangler. It is a built-in society where people recognize each other just from that alone. So I thought, this vehicle has such a built-in identity and built-in brand. A group of people who choose adventure over practicality. And of course the top comes off too. So when the weather's nicer and as long as you know it's not gonna rain, you can do that as well. But just having the liberty to at any time go down a dirt road. Now granted, yes, and if you watched my videos before, I have got into some close calls. Thank you, Lord, that we got out. But I've had at one time where we were going down a wildlife management area in Fort Payne, Alabama, where I'm from originally, and we went into this puddle, which I learned long puddles are the most dangerous ones. And at one point, me driving, I was like this because we were tilting over in the mud. I was able to reverse and get out, but I mean, the mud water was up to the side of the window. And so I had several close calls like that. So now, about a year into it, I've had my fun. I'm sounding like Elsa from Frozen 2. I've had my adventure. I don't need something new. But now I can tone it down. I have definitely taken it to the extreme. And this is my personal vehicle. It's not like this is a backup, but it is a toy, and that's part of what's fun. It's a personal vehicle, yet it's a toy. You can take it off-roading, and that can be the thing that you do. Like that can be your entertainment. It's just looking for a dirt road or looking for a place that normal cars couldn't go. I'll close this video also by saying, if you happen to see the song, which again, why would you watch a 10-minute explanation without watching the song? But it was funny because right as I finished hitting the last chord and I was about to turn it off, you can hear very faintly, right before the video ends, you hear something like, "Daddy, I want some water." And that's because my daughter came downstairs to the garage door. She heard me playing out here and asked for water. So yeah, that's funny too. I think it just kind of adds to the whole concept of, part of why I even got a Jeep, part of my midlife crisis. Okay, I want to have more fun. And yes, I'm still balancing having a real job and being married and having 2 young kids and turning it into a family thing. Your comments belong right here.